Hi, I'm Joe Alexander, and we're going to be talking about chord inversions and the symbols used for triads, and then at the end we'll get to the chord symbols used for seventh chords. First of all, you have three notes in a triad, the tertian triads that we've been looking at recently, and each one of the members has a specific number. You have a root of a chord, which is the pitch of which the bottom of the three stacked notes, the pitch it's built on. You have the third, the first third literally above the note, and then you have the fifth of the chord. Now, for chord inversions and symbols, it does not matter where the pitches are voiced in the chord. Doesn't matter where they lie on the staff. With chord inversions, the first thing you're doing is you're going to mentally stack the chord into close position. So in the beginning, if it helps, writing in little dashes to move everything nice and close. And then you want to arrange it so that you're in stacked thirds, not stacked fourths or seconds when you get to the seventh chords. The next thing you need to do is look at what is the lowest sounding note. Now, in a four-part texture, for part writing, you're basically talking about what's in the bass voice. But is this a bass voiced chord? No, but if you're in piano, can you see this voicing of a chord? Absolutely. Just like you can find any one of these voicings in a piano piece. All right, you look at the lowest pitch, and you simply ask the simple question, is it the root, the third of the chord, or the fifth? If it's in, the root is in the bottom, it is in root position. It doesn't matter how it's voiced, how many times pitches are doubled or not. If the third is in the bass, it's in first inversion. And then if the fifth is in the bass, it's in second inversion. Any question about that little aspect? So the first thing I would suggest is simply moving everything to block position, such as I have on the first chord. Since it's already in stacked thirds, the lowest sounding pitch is what? G. So it's in root position. All right. As far as symbols go, our system is based on automatically stacking thirds. So when you write out the chord, like we did earlier with the one major chord, let's say we were in G minor, for example. This would be a minor one chord, right? Do we write, oh, there's a third present and a fifth present? No. Notice how you would have many symbols up there that are just completely redundant, not needed. All right, so in root position chords, you don't include them. The next chord, spell it in stacked thirds. First of all, read the notes.
G, G, B flat, D.
D. All right, so if we bring it down to the, we have a G. What's the third above G?
B flat.
And then was there another third?
D.
All right. The lowest, so we know it's a G minor chord, right? Which is still a one chord. What is the lowest sounding pitch?
G.
Which is what member of the chord? So this chord is in root position. All right. Any questions on that one? Again, when we reduce it down, you want to make sure it's reduced to stacked thirds. No matter where they fall, just make sure that they're in consecutive thirds. For example, the next chord, read the pitches.
B flat, G, G, D.
All right. So if we start on the bottom, is there a D? Yes. Now, if we continue up in stacked thirds, saying it's a B flat chord in root position, is there an F present?
No.
No. So it is not a root position chord. What pitch is present though? A G is present, right? So once again, we have what quality chord?
G minor.
You have a G minor chord, right? But this time, the bass pitch is not the root. And you have to be real specific about that. Just because the note's in the bass does not mean it's the root of the chord. It does not. You have to look at what is the actual spelled root of the chord. And in this case, that spelled root is, no, the root, not the bass pitch. It's a G. It's a G minor chord. Right here is our G minor. But I had voiced it, what was it? Alright, but it's just in an inversion. And what member of the chord is in bass voice? The third. So it means it's in first inversion. And if I learned to write, it would be, that's a first, 1 ST, okay? So it's in first inversion. Now, where do we get the numbers from? We talked about the 5 and the 3 here. You can clearly see the 3 and the 5 here. But notice this time, when I look at what's present, we have the interval of a third, and then the interval of a sixth. Our system is based on thirds, right? We ignored the 3s here. We're going to ignore the 3 here. First inversion symbol is a 1, 6. And the 6 is coming from the unusual interval of a 6. Does everybody see where that comes from? Now, knowing where it comes from, in all cases, what we're leading towards is what's called figured bass notation. It was a shorthand notation developed in the Baroque era in 1600. Just like we have lead sheets in jazz band, a shorthand. You know, when you're writing an awful lot of music, you try to come up with every shortcut you can. And just because make it easier, sheer quantity. And in that time period, the figured bass notation, their symbol was, well, if nothing's present, it's simply stacked thirds above the bass pitch. And they're diatonic notes. If they're not diatonic, you add in symbols to adjust them to whatever pitches you actually need. Now, what's necessary to tell the first inversion chord is, well, what's unique? There is a sixth, the interval of a sixth, B flat up to G. Now, notice, it's the diatonic sixth. We're not being nitpicky and asking for major sixth or minor sixth. It's just a diatonic sixth is present. You look at the key signature, and whatever that note is, that's the note that's thrown up there, a sixth above B flat. In key G minor, that's plain old G. So a G to B flat's a minor third, so technically it's a major sixth, B flat up to G, right? But it's a sixth that's present. The third is understood. So the D would be automatically added in when you see the sixth symbol. And that is the first inversion. Now, the next chord, again, you notice, read the pitches. D,
B flat, G, G.
Notice, there's the same 4 notes, right? And so, thinking it through, by preserving the bass pitch in the correct register, we can see that that chord is not built in stacked thirds, right? All right. So what does that tell us? It tells you inversion, or the easiest corollary is D is not the root of the chord. Okay, but it is inverted, which is correct. And if G is the root, what's the third again?
B flat.
So what's in the bottom? D, which would be the fifth of the chord, automatically. If the fifth's in the bass, it is in second position, or second position or second inversion. Either one of those will work. Now, this time, if all we wrote was a 6, what would that be telling us?
It's in first inversion.
In first inversion. However, does everybody see that D going up to B flat is the interval of a
4.
the sixth, right? There is a 6. D up to B flat is a 6. But notice what's unique. There is a D going up to G, which is a 4. And that would make it a second inversion chord. And again, the 6 is referring, you take the bass pitch, in this case it's D. What is a sixth above? The interval of a sixth above D, you know, D, E, F, G, A, B flat is 6. And the 4 is D,
E, F, G.
G. That's where the 4 comes from. Now, let me take it one step further. Do you have to know where the symbols come from? No. Does it help? Yes. It comes down to this. If the third is in the bass, it is in first position, and the symbol is 6. You don't have to know the hows and the whys. You have to be able to recognize what's the root of the chord and what member of the chord is in the bass. If the 5th is in the bass, it is in second position, and the symbol is 6/4. It is that simple. And the quicker you learn that, you just literally probably go up a letter grade on a test, because there'll be at least that much worth of inversion symbols. That simply. All right? Any questions on that and where it comes from? What I would like to do now is we're going to look at the construction of 7th chords. I'm not going to be concerned with whether something is half diminished or fully diminished or anything like that. We're just looking at the inversion symbols. Now, there are some corollaries, similarities between the triads and the 7th chords. But obviously, there you have a 7th added in. If we take our all of our band people love their favorite key of E flat. We'll take our 5/7 chord at an E flat. If nothing's present in the symbol, what does that refer to? If there are no numbers underneath the note, what is it? It's a root position.
And the root is in the bass.
Root's in the bass.
Try.
It's a triad. If nothing is present, it's just a triad. Other words, we have to show there's a 7th present, right? And how do we show a 7? Oh, there's a trick question if I ever saw one. You write 7 down, okay? And notice the triad part is assumed because the system is based on tertian stacked third chords. You're showing the unusual pitch, the 7th. Now, if we invert the chord, I'll do them all in close position. Just to make them easy for right now. Notice all I've done is rotate the B flat up above. And again, I could have done it spread out over the entire keyboard range, but the net result's the same. Notice, tertian harmony said that there's a 3rd present. Tertian says there's a 5th present. And you would say, oh, that's a D, F, A flat diminished chord, right? Except that's not stacked thirds, okay? What we realize is, what is the root of the chord?
B flat.
The pitch B flat is the root. So we know that the chord is inverted. What member of the chord is in the bottom bass, in the bottom voice? The 3rd is in, which means it's in. That's exactly the same as before, first inversion. So what will change will be the designation, because you have to make sure you distinguish it between a first inversion triad and then the added in 7th of the chord is what will change. All right? First inversion triad says what? 6. What is our added in pitch?
5th.
What letter name? What is the 7th of the chord? A flat. Where is the A flat compared to the bass pitch?
5th.
5th. The first inversion symbol for a 7th chord is 6/5. Let me point out a couple of observations. The even number is referring to literally the root of the chord. Everybody see that? The odd number is referring to the 7th of the chord. That's the added in note that's different from the first inversion symbols of triads. All right? We rotate it one more time. Notice it's still a B flat, D, F, A flat dominant 7th chord quality, but this time we have our F in the bass, which is what member of the chord? The 5th, and the 5th means we're in second inversion. Okay? What was the symbol for triads? Second inversion was?
6/4.
All right. Notice 6/5, 6/4. Looking, catch the difference between the two. 6/4 is a triad. 6/5 All right. What is the interval from F to E flat?
Third.
F to B flat.
Fourth.
All right, so you have a 3, a 4, and a 6. Do we have to have all the numbers present to designate second inversion? No. Just like with, we didn't write the 3 or the 5 in here, the 6th is understood. The D is understood. Why? B flat, D, F, A flat. It's not needed. What you'll find is when you can actually reach a point when you're looking at a score, there's too many symbols and you can't realize all the information in a quick enough manner to perform it. So, what do we use for the designation? A, 4, 3. Point out something. The even number is what pitch above F?
The root.
The odd number is the
Seven.
show you another one. This is go back to elementary school. Root position is, say it,
7.
first inversion is
6, 5. 4, 3.
Is that hard to learn? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and lo and behold, 2. I went to all that college just to learn all that information to count down from 7. All right? Here we have our B flat dominant 7th chord in the last inversion. Now, obviously, if you rotate the triad a third time, what do you have? You go back to the original root position. But when you have a 7th, there is a third rotation or third position. And our intervals are,
Third.
no, look, 2.
4.
Now, one of the things you'll find about theory, it's like every time somebody writes a book, they have to come up with something slightly different to separate the books. About half of the theory books I used growing up said it's just a 2. Your book calls it a 4-2. Does it not?
Mm-hmm.
The 4 is just totally as redundant as the 6 is redundant. Because the only way you can have a 2 in a 7th chord is last inversion. Okay, so I will call it a 2. Obviously, right, if Dr. Buds wants a 4-2, you write the 4-2. Okay, but realize they're the same thing. And what's present is the root doesn't have a number. The even, I said that wrong, backwards. The 7th, since it's in the bass, it doesn't have a number. The root of the chord is the pitch B flat, which is the 2, which was the root even numbers. So in all cases, the 6, the 4, and the 2 is literally telling you that is the root of the chord. You just go up from the bass to that interval, and that's the pitch that's the root of the chord. And the odd number is telling you where the 7th is. 7, root position, a 5 in the first inversion, the 3 in the second. Well, when it's in the bass, it's obvious it's in the bass. So it's not needed. Okay? Are there any questions on these symbols? It is exactly the same as like I mentioned with triad. If something is in root position and it is a 7th chord, you use the symbol 7. If it is in second inversion, what member's in the bass?
The third.
Listen to the question.
The 5th.
If it's in
The 5th.
second inversion, the 5th is in the bass and the symbol is 4-3. If it's in last inversion, the symbol is, we'll go ahead, 4-2. We'll go ahead and call it his terminology, but 2 is the same thing. Are there any questions on this? Thank you very much.